Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is the annual financial report webinar. My name is Anvi Kevaney, and I'm with the Los Angeles 10 District PTSA. My main job is I'm the parliamentarian. I'm also the tax information support for Los Angeles 10 District PTSA. I'm the president of Highlands Council, and I would like to introduce Jackie. Jackie, introduce yourself.
Sure, yes. My name is Jackie Cahill. I'm the financial reviewer for Eagle Rock High School. I'm also I was the financial reviewer this last school year for Highlands Council, but my new position is treasurer for Highlands Council. So if anyone has any treasurer's questions or Highlands Council or financial review, I can help you with those.
And we have our translator. Marie will be translating from English to Spanish. If you can please click on the globe and click on the appropriate either English or Spanish. Jackie, can you please translate that to Spanish?
Si necesitan español, si pueden tocar el mundo que está abajo en su Zoom y tienen que escoger español si lo quieren interpretación en español.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. And then if you have any questions, you can write your questions on the chat, or you can click the Q&A and write your questions there. The annual financial report, the purpose of the annual financial report is basically summarizes the financial activities and status of your unit over the past year. Your financial report is used to complete your tax reports. It's very important that in order for you to actually file your tax reports for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, you must have a copy of your annual financial report. It gives the association an overview of the financial health of the unit. It requires adoption by the association at the first association meeting, and the annual financial report aids in drafting your RRF1, which is your registration renewal form with the Department of Justice, and your CTTR1, which is the treasurer's report for the Department of Justice. That means that if your unit's income is $50,000 or less, you do need to complete the CTTR1. And in order to do that, you need your annual financial report. If your unit earns more than $50,000 a year, you do need to file under the IRS the 990 EZ or the 990 form. And once you complete that form is submitted along with the RRF1. The annual financial report provides a brief overview of your unit's mission and activities throughout the year. Very important. That's one of the main reasons why we are a PTA and why we fundraise, because we need to fund for the programs and activities that your unit sponsors. Preparation. In order to prepare for the annual financial report, you must have a completed ledger. Ledger meaning all the transactions that have occurred throughout the fiscal year from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. This means that you're supposed, as the treasurer is supposed to be inputting all of the transactions, the deposits, and the expenses on a ledger starting July 1st of 2023 and ending on June 30th, 2024. You must also have copies of your bank statements, because you also need to make sure that the checks and the deposits have posted on your bank statements. And that's one way actually to reconcile the transactions, especially the deposits and the checks that you've written. So you do need a copy of your bank statements. For your annual financial report, you must report the total income for the year. When we talk about the total income, we're talking about the gross receipts. These are all of the funds that you collected and deposited into your bank account, and they should be categorized. What we're gonna do is after we talk about the process, I'm gonna show you a sample of the annual financial report, and it's in Excel spreadsheet. I know that California State PTA has a sample, but it's a PDF form. The Excel spreadsheet is a better example, and we will send it out to you. We will email it to you once the webinar is over. Is there a question? Jackie, there's a question?
Sorry, I have to unmute myself. Yeah, the question is, will you share the presentation?
Yes. We will be sending the presentation to the participants that signed up tonight. Okay, great. When you're completing the annual financial report, you should have them by categories and subcategories. When we're talking about the categories, there are the main ones are your fundraising categories, your programs categories, and donations. For the categories under fundraiser, then you're going to have your subcategories. That means that you're going to break down your fundraising activities. So under your fundraiser, you might have your Harvest Festival, you may have your annual appeal, you may be fundraising for you're fundraising through the book fair. So those are your subcategories under the fundraising category. For the programs categories, you may have an enrichment classes, the garden program. You may be sponsoring, family engagement or community engagement programs. So what we're trying to say is that you should actually break down each category and itemize the activities that fall under the categories. And if you have grants or special contributions, that's another separate category that you need to report. Grants, sometimes your neighborhood council might provide a grant for you so that you're able to fund for a community engagement program. So you need to report those as well. Included in the total income for the year are non-cash contributions. This is a requirement with the Department of Justice. They want to know if your unit received any type of non-cash contributions, and these non-cash contributions could be equipment that was donated to the PTA, any type of food donated to the PTA, paper goods, decorations. So any type of items that's non-cash that was donated to the PTA should be reported. You don't need to have the exact amount in terms of how much each item is. You can just guess and just put down, for paper goods, a total of maybe, $100 was donated for the teacher appreciation. So please make sure that you also include the non-cash contributions. The other item that you also need to include for your income is income not belonging to the unit. This is the membership that is remitted, the membership dues that are remitted to the 10th district and to the council if you're in council. So basically, it's usually $5.50 that you remit to the 10th district and 50 cents that you remit to the 3 councils if you're under Gateway, if you're under Pacific Council or Highlands Council. But it's really important that you also report that these are the funds that were remitted that you sent to the LA 10th district, so that then they also will disperse those, the 550, which is 225 will go to National PTA, and $1.25 will go to California State PTA. And just a reminder, if you have not received it, National PTA actually will be increasing their dues from $2.25 to $3.25, and that's effective July 1st of 2025. Yes, Darcy is asking per member. Yes, that's correct. It's $5.50 per member and 50 cents per member. Thank you. Just a reminder, when you actually report your total income, again, when we say gross, it's the whole amount. It's not, let's say, for example, you collected $1,000 for book fare and you're paying, and 20% of that you keep. So $800, let's say, will go to Scholastic Book Fare, and $200 you keep. Even though you're not keeping 100% of the book fare money, the $1,000, you still collected the $1,000 in payment. We're talking about cash and checks that you deposit into your bank. So that's the gross income that you report. And then we're going to talk about the expenses. For the total expenses, the same thing. You need to categorize each expense under fundraiser, and then under fundraiser, the Harvest Festival expenses, the book fair expenses, the chocolate expenses. Other categories could be organizational expenses, membership, hospitality. Again, for those, you report what what you paid out. Uh-oh, what happened here? It's doing it automatically, sorry. What you report basically, what you paid out in terms of invoices or what you owed to your vendors, any expenses that if you had a volunteer that needed to be, I can't think of the word right now. Reimbursed. There you go. If you have a volunteer that needed to be reimbursed, that's an expense. And if they needed to be reimbursed under a certain category, you need to report that under that category. Again, expenses not belonging to the unit. These are the expenses that you actually collected from your membership that you actually remit to the 10th district. So let's go back to here. The income not belonging to the unit, this is actually income. We're talking about the $5.50 and the 50 cents that you collected per member. And that's actually income that you deposited into your account, but it doesn't belong to you. So let's say that you collected $10. Your membership is $10 per member. So $4, and you're under the Highlands Council. For $4 is income that belongs to you. $6 is income that does not belong to you. So $5.50 belongs to 10th District, and 50 cents belong to Highlands Council. The same thing with expenses. The same thing with expenses not belonging to the unit. These are the money that you remit, which is the $5.50 for Los Angeles 10th District and 50 cents for Highlands Council. What I'm saying is that the income not belonging to the unit and the expenses not belong to the unit should erase each other. So if your income not belong to the unit is $100, then your expenses not belong to the unit is $100, because it should match. The income and the expenses not belong to the unit should match. Okay.
And can I just add a little interject there for expenses
Sure.
too? Sometimes the units collect donations or even donations through a credit card third party, or through or even sell merchandise with the credit card or take credit cards for payment. So those expenses, the credit card fee should be a fee that you deduct as an expense. So let's say a t-shirt costs $10, but $2 is for the credit card fee. You still record $10, and then you deduct for an expense the cost of the t-shirt. Let's say it's $5, and then $2 for the credit card fee. So that should all be two separate buckets, the cost of the t-shirt and then the credit card fee of $2, so that you could
That's
record those.
that's correct. And I received an email from Evie, which I think it's also important regarding totem. So let's go back to the total income for the year. So totem, if you're using totem, that would be under membership. The difference with totem though is that they will charge the member an extra $1. But that's not a fee that you report as an expense for your unit, because that $1 is not actually deposited into your account. So let's say your membership, again, membership dues are $10 per member. And if you're using Totem, then your member will pay $11. So $1 will go to Totem, and then $10 is the membership. And then Totem then will automatically remit the $5.50 to the 10th district. And if you're in council, 50 cents to the council. So then Totem has $4 left. And what Totem will do is that they will transfer the $4 to your account. So that's the income that you report coming from Totem. Now, with the donation, it's a little bit different, because the donation, Totem does charge a 5% fee if somebody donates through Totem. So if somebody donates $10, and you have to report that as a donation. But then Totem will take their 5% from their $10. So then you have to report that as an expense. When Jackie was talking about fee expenses, the only time you report a fee expense for Totem is when it's a donation and they take out the 5%. Now, if you're using PayPal, the same thing. Let's say somebody donates $10 through PayPal and PayPal charges a fee. You report your total donation as $10, but then under that donation under PayPal, your expense, part of the expense would be the fee that was taken out from PayPal. Okay,
And can I just say one more thing about Totem?
sure.
So it's really important for each unit to, once you get a payout from Totem, because they do it once a month, make sure you print that detail. I'm seeing a lot of units when I do the financial review that just allocate that all to membership. So the unfortunate thing about doing that is that the donor, if they donated $10, I've seen some donation as high as $500. They need to be acknowledged that the unit received that donation. So it's really important that as soon as you get the payout from Totem that hits your bank account, that you run a report and you separate what is membership and what are donations and what the expense is for the donation fee, because you as a unit need to acknowledge the donor for that donation. It's really important. And then it does two things. You also are able to categorize what was membership, what was a donation, and what was the fee associated with that. So you'll get these really weird numbers and you're like, well, why is that? That's not a round number. It's not $4 if our member dues is 10, but it's generally because there's a donation in there. So it's really important you print that report, and they're available on Totem. And if anybody needs help with those, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you on how to pull those reports.
That's correct. And one of the things that I'm finding too is that when somebody donates through a fundraiser, let's say you're having a harvest festival and somebody donates $10, it's not reported as a donation. That actually should be reported as a donation, as a subcategory under harvest festival. And we'll talk more about that when I pull out the template for the annual financial report. I do have a template in Excel spreadsheet form, and we will share that with you. Once you have all of your expenses, once you have all of your receipts and all of your expenses recorded on your annual financial report, you must also report what your balance on hand is as of the end of the fiscal year. So your balance on hand as of June 30th, 2024 should be your beginning balance, how much money you have as of July 1st, 2023, plus the income that you made for that fiscal year minus the expenses. Your balance on hand as of June 30th, 2024 should match your balance on hand for your ledger. And if it doesn't, then there's something happened with the reporting process, either with your ledger or with when you're completing the annual financial report. But your annual financial report, the beginning balance as of July 1st should match your ledger. That's the beginning balance on your ledger, and the ending balance should match the ledger as well. Very important.
And just a little side point on that too is
Sure.
your financial review should also match this balance. So they all go together, and that's why it's important that they get done simultaneously.
And it's really important that everything balances out, especially with your annual financial report and your ledger and your financial review. I've seen units where they filed their RRF1 and CTTR1 reports, and the balance that they report do not match each other. So what may happen is that the DOJ might look at that and wonder what's going on. How come your treasurer's report does not match your RF1 report? The same thing, your RF1 report and treasurer's report, those balance must also match the Franchise Tax Board 199 report. So everything should match. That's why it's very, very important that your outgoing treasurer should be filling out the annual financial report as soon as you receive your June 2024 statement and start working on it. If your treasurer, unfortunately, for example, if your outgoing treasurer is not available, the incoming treasurer should be working on it then. It's not really the responsibility of the incoming treasurer to be doing the annual financial report, but as treasurer and as financial officers, it's everybody's responsibility that the AFR is actually completed and presented to the association members for adoption at your first association meeting. Are there any questions? Okay. And we also have resources, basically in terms of trying to get more information. Please always go to your California State PTA Toolkit. A lot of the information is available there. California State PTA also has a leaders website. You just need to register. And once you're in, it has a lot of resources for leaders. The same thing with National PTA. They have the local leader kit. We do have the district and council treasurers. Winston Lynch is the 10th district and Gateway Council treasurer, and that's his email. Jackie Cahill is the Highlands Council treasurer, and Erandeni Teo is the Pacific Council treasurer. Please reach out to your council and district treasurers if you have any questions.
There is a question in the chat. Is there a due date for the financial report?
There's not a due date. Usually, California State PTA is requesting that you should have it ready. Usually the executive board, a lot of our units will take a break during July. Under your bylaws, your executive board are supposed to meet during the school year. So a lot of our executive board are meeting in August. So the financial report should actually be ready by August when your first meeting of the year for the 24-25 program year happens for your executive board, so that the executive board can take a look at it and approve the financial, not approve, but review the annual financial report, so that then the AFR is ready to be presented to your first association meeting, because some of the units, actually their first association meetings are in August, but most are in September. So you should actually have it ready for your first association meeting so that your association members are able to adopt the annual financial report.
And it's also a courtesy to the incoming treasurer. That way the incoming treasurer knows what balance is on hand, and then, they can proceed from there. So it's great if you can do it as soon as June 30th hits and you have your bank statement for June. It would really be nice.
That's
Jackie.
correct. So this is a sample of the annual financial report. You just put your unit's name over there and your the fiscal year, July 1st, 2023 to 2024, June 30th, 2024, the name of the unit. FEIN is your IRS EIN number. Your organization number is your franchise tax board number. Your CT number is your DOJ number, Department of Justice. The reason I'm asking you to go ahead and report your numbers here is that it just makes it easier when you file your RF1 or your IRS 990 or your franchise tax board 199 reports. It's available and you're not looking for the EIN number or the organization number, CT number. It's right here. Council, if you're in council or if you're out of council, Los Angeles 10th District, your address, zip code. If you're comfortable in putting your cell phone number, you can just put the school number there. Beginning balance as of, this one refers to fiscal year. So we're going to talk about the fiscal year 23-24. So it's beginning balance as of July 1st, 2023. And this should match the beginning balance on your ledger. And then some of your units have savings account. Please report any interest income that you made for that year, fiscal year. The same thing if you have checking account interest, please report that. The membership dues, when we say unit portion only, it's the portion that you keep that you don't remit. So let's say you have collected membership dues for 100 members and you were charging $10 per member. So, and you're in council, you're under Highlands Council, so $5.50 is paid to LA 10th District per member and 50 cents is paid to Highlands Council per member. So your units portion then is $400. Now the fundraising lists total gross income individually. We need the total gross income. This is what we're talking about. So if you need to write down your total sales for the chocolates, and then if somebody says, I don't want to buy chocolate, but I'll give you $10 as a donation, you should report it as a donation under that subcategory, under that fundraiser. The same thing, the book fair, the total sales that you collected, and if anybody again made any donation, you report it here. The same thing if you have the Harvest Festival. And then some of our units have the direct ask. I usually call it the annual appeal or direct ask. And this is actually a donation right here that you report in terms of how much you've collected. Now, some of our units have grad night, whether it's for 6th grade, 8th grade, or high school. You again, you report the whole amount that you collected for the ticket sales And if somebody say they're donating, they're purchasing tickets and they're donating it, again, that should be reported here. If your unit sponsors enrichment classes and you're charging, let's say, $200 per class per semester per student, so you report the income here for the enrichment classes. And this is the other category that usually is a little bit confusing for our units. If you have a teacher staff appreciation, it actually falls under hospitality. So that one, again, you report, and usually a lot of these, this is not a fundraiser. Usually people will donate for the teacher staff appreciation. So you report that income that you collect for the teacher staff appreciation. And then over here, this is what we were talking about. The receipts not belonging to the unit. This is the income that you receive, but does not belong to you. Again, $5.50 for LA 10th District and 50 cents if you're in council. Now, if you had the Founders Day celebration and you request a Founders Day free will offering, that income does not belong to you. That donation, that's donation that you remit to California State PTA for their Founders Day free will offering. The free will offering actually the units that collect the free will offering, California State PTA uses these donations to pay for scholarships for graduating seniors, to pay for scholarships for professional development, and for volunteers. So the total receipts not belong to the unit should match the total receipts, the total disbursements not belonging to the unit. That should always match. And then the total receipts, this is the other confusing part. Sometimes units, what they will do is that they will add everything, including the beginning balance of July 1st, which is not correct. What you're reporting here for the total receipts is what you made for that year. So please do not include the beginning balance as of July 1st. You only total all of the income that you collected from July 1st to June 30th. There's some questions here.
Yeah, let me just kind of read them off to you, MB.
Okay.
One person asked if the Excel format was available, and I said that you would be sending it to all the participants. I didn't answer the second part. It is not available in Excel in CAPTA, only available in PDF on CAPTA. So
That's correct.
it's easier to use the Excel format. And of course, one of the comments I wanted to add to Amvi's comments was, if you don't have a grad night, change it to the event that you do have, especially on the Excel sheet. You can change it, you can edit it. Please change it to the category that is for your unit. And then one of the other questions was where do donations from shopping programs, Ralph's, See's Candies, etc. go? My comment is that it would go under donations under its own category. So maybe, you have Ralph's Market donations, and then you have that category. Under that, you have See's Candies donations, and you have that category. Or, your main category would be donations, and then subcategories with all those other.
That's correct. So let's say you had restaurant night. That's actually donation. That was the 20% that you make would be a donation for restaurant night. The same thing with, well, Amazon used to have the donation, but they don't have that anymore. Let's say that Ralph's has a donation program where if the customer, I guess, uses a card and they ask who they donated to, and you say donated to Mount Washington Elementary, so that's under donation. So these right here will go under the category donations right here. Okay.
There is another question. One of the questions is there any possibility to include reimbursements that didn't come out of the bank account until July 2nd? I mean, I have an opinion on that, but do you want me to say what that is? Generally,
That
my
depends
opinion,
though. Yeah, can you answer it, please, Jackie?
do you want me to answer it in the chat or
Sure.
do you want me to answer it now?
You answer it now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the treasurer or whoever has the books should be writing those checks before June 30th. You generally have an idea what is due. You may be waiting for receipts from someone to write them a check. In that situation, I could see why the check wasn't written until July 2nd. But if the check is written on July 2nd, then it should go into the following year, and it should be noted that it was an expense for let's just say 2024 or 2023-24 school year, and that you're going to have to unfortunately account for it in 2024-25 school year. So that's the unfortunate part, but it's really important to get everything to the bank, written checks before June 30th. And technically, if you have a new treasurer coming in, they're not authorized to write checks after July 1st. So unless only so generally you should be waiting till then.
Well, that it depends on that one if their budget was adopted at the last association meeting. So let's say the budget for 24-25 was adopted at the May Association meeting 2024, then the incoming treasurer is able to write checks if it's a summer type expense. So let's say, for example, the 24-25 budget included the garden program. And the garden program functions all year long, meaning that you need to buy items for the garden program during the July, August months. So because it's already been approved and the funds were released at that point, then the executive board is able to write the expenses for the garden program for July. But you must have a budget already adopted by the association members in order to do that. That's what Jackie's talking about in terms of being able to write a check. If you don't have a budget, you're taking a chance because then you're actually writing checks that are not budgeted items yet for the 24-25. And if the association members do not agree that those expenses should be paid and they don't approve it, then you may have to get that money back. So it's really important that you should have your budget already for 24-25. If you don't, you should be working on it now so that your association members are able to adopt it at the first association meeting. But anything that you write as of after June 30th, 2024, you'll have to report it for the 24-25 fiscal year.
Okay, couple more questions, Amvi. First one is, you mentioned before the presentation started that there were 2 financial reports with similar names that might be confusing for us.
Yeah.
Explain what those 2 reports are. So hopefully, and then there's a couple in the chat that after you're done with that explanation.
Yeah. So there's the financial review report. It used to be called the audit report. So now we're calling it the financial review report. And then we have the annual financial report, the AFR. And this is what we're talking about. This is the annual financial report. So, and both reports are actually due at the end of the year, after the end of the year. So the financial review report, basically California State PTA is asking that should be completed within 2 to 3 weeks after your fiscal year ends. So we're talking the second or third week of July. And your annual financial report, we're asking that it should be ready by August. And the other thing too is that sometimes they don't get the annual financial report completed at all, and then I get contacted by the unit asking assistance in filing their tax reports. And the first thing I will ask you, if you want me to help you with your tax reports, the first thing I need is a completed annual financial report for the fiscal year. Otherwise, I cannot help you with the tax reports. That's why it's very important that your treasurer completes the annual financial report.
Okay, we have a couple more questions.
Sure.
One of them was, I wrote a check on the 28th of June, but it didn't actually come out of the account until the 2nd. Can I include it? Okay, so if the check was written prior to June 30th, doesn't matter whether the receiver cashed it or not. Doesn't matter that it got cashed in the following financial year. The issue is that it got done before the 28th. So you're good. You just have to record it as kind of like how you do a reconciliation of a bank account. You have your balance, then you have all your uncashed checks, and then you have your real balance because you have several uncashed checks. So that's fine. When you have a check that you wrote before the end of the year, that's fine. And let me see the second one. We have a couple of checks that were written in early June, but the recipients didn't cash them before June 30th. Similar. That's okay. They don't have to be cashed before June 30th. They just should be written before June 30th. That's the issue. When you have your financial review, the financial review includes a section of uncashed checks as of June 30th. So
That's
it's
good.
important to provide that information to whoever's doing your financial review. What I generally do as a treasurer is I would provide the financial reviewer all my payment authorizations that haven't been processed through the bank for some reason or another, because they have to note those, because those checks could technically be stale and you might need to void them and reissue them. So it's really important you provide that information on your financial review. You do account for it in this annual financial report because you wrote the check. It's already in your ledger as being written. It doesn't matter that it hasn't been cashed. It still needs to be counted in your Excel spreadsheet that it was paid. There's a difference between paying a bill and it not being cashed. It's
And
totally
not being posted, yeah.
yeah, it not being subtracted from your account. So when you create this report, this annual financial report, you need to take into account what checks you wrote. Doesn't matter that they haven't been cashed. You still need to include them in this report.
That's correct. That's why it's really important that you actually keep a ledger. It could be an Excel spreadsheet, it could be Quicken, it could be QuickBooks, it could be PT Easy, it could be one of those book ledgers that we sell at 10th District. But it's actually doing an Excel spreadsheet or Quicken is more accurate, or PT Easy is more accurate. But either way, your treasurer should have a ledger. And unfortunately, I have found that some of the treasurers that I've worked with never had a ledger. They would just write checks and they would just have the deposits, but they didn't have a ledger. It's very, very important that you keep a ledger. Okay, there's a question, if your PTA uses My PT Easy, is the financial report the same as the report we can automatically run in My PT Easy called financial report? That's correct. And what I will do though is that once you generate the financial report through PT Easy, download it as an Excel spreadsheet, because it's not going to show, especially if you're using Totem, it's not going to show the funds not belonging to the unit. And that one you need to include on your financial report.
Just a little tip that I do when with My PT Easy is I will actually do an annual treasurer's report because everything is generally pretty detailed in that. So I'll go from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. And then like Amvi suggested, you download it as an Excel and then you can adjust, like maybe you recorded something incorrectly. So that's what came out in your treasurer's report. And then you just put it all together and consolidate the duplicates and your numbers should balance. Your ending balance should balance. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the annual financial report on my PT Easy. That generally isn't helpful to me as I remember, although I haven't used it in the last couple of years. But I use the treasurer's report feature and manipulate it that way.
That one's more comprehensive, which is more helpful. Now, on the disbursements list of the annual financial report, you're supposed to be reporting all of the expenses, starting with your operating expenses, which may include purchasing membership envelopes, your insurance, definitely, if you had to pay for postage or printing, if your leaders attended the California State PTA convention, officers and chairs reimbursement on your standing rules, on your PTA standing rules. There is a line item there where it says officers can be reimbursed up to, I think, $20. And reimbursement meaning that if you attended a meeting and you had to pay parking, that's a reimbursement. I can't think of any other. Oh, the other reimbursement could be let's say that 10th district had a dinner, the president's luncheon or the annual president's luncheon, and you had to use your own money to pay for the $40 dinner part of that event, then you can be reimbursed for that. There's a question. Okay.
Yeah, it was just, I'm not sure if everyone's reading the chat, but it was a question in regards to My PTA Easy. They didn't know that that was an option. It is a software that was created for
For booster clubs
PTAs
and PTAs.
booster clubs. It's an accounting software. Many of the reports come out in the, required format of the PTA. Also, it's an easy transition from from a treasurer that's terming out to a new treasurer. They just sign on, and as long as the information entered is accurate, then they start off with a clean slate, the new treasurer, and it's very easy to use. It is based on what your annual income is. I don't know what the lowest price is right now off the top of my head, but I believe it ranges anywhere from $80 to like $180, depending on your income for the year, is what it's a sliding scale based on your income for your unit.
That's correct. And the nice thing about My PT Easy is that it's cloud-based, like Jackie said. So if you're the incoming treasurer, you're not running around trying to find the ledger from the outgoing treasurer, all the paperwork, because it's already on the cloud and you can just log in and access the information from My PT Easy.
And if any of you have questions about My PT Easy because you're using it and you're not sure how to use it, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. I'm very familiar with it. I haven't used it recently, but it hasn't changed. I think I used it not last school year, but 2 school years ago. So, and it's a little complicated entering totem stuff. So I can help you with that as well because they don't, anyways. So if you have any questions on that, please let me know. And then there's some questions in the Q&A. Let me check that.
Yes, it's My PT Easy. That's correct, Silly. And the other thing too is that it's actually, you can access My PT Easy for free as a unit if you want to upload your documents on there, which is really nice, there's a document retention program for MyPT Easy for all the units. You just click on your unit and it's going to right there, it's going to ask you, on the right-hand side, there's a document retention program. You just click on the document and it's going to come up all the years, I think starting from 2015. So you can actually upload your copies of your bylaws, copies of your tax reports, copies of your annual financial report, your financial review. Again, it's very helpful because your incoming treasurer then is not looking for these forms if they're already available on MyPT Easy. It's just that whoever is running MyPT Easy should actually be uploading those forms once you get them. So let's say your bylaws, they were signed by the California State BTA, your 2023 bylaws, and then your unit association members adopted the bylaws and they were signed by the president secretary. You upload the signature page, so then you know when your 2023 bylaws were adopted. It's a really helpful platform that they offer. And like I said, that one is free to use for all the units. You just need to register. The same thing with the program expenses. Again, you need to have the subcategories under program expenses, whether you paid for assemblies, the reflections program, family engagement. Sorry, this is not hospitality. Hospitality shouldn't be under program, should be separate. Enrichment classes. So program meaning that it was not a fundraiser. You were not charging anybody. You weren't trying to raise funds to make money. Any event that is not a fundraiser could fall under program. Hospitality would be teacher staff appreciation. If you're having an in-person meeting and you're buying food items for the meeting, you're having an ice cream social, that would be hospitality expenses. For the fundraising, if your unit did chocolate sales, if your unit did book fair, harvest festival, annual appeal, again, you need to report the expenses that you incurred for each event. Then you put in the total expenses and you also report the total disbursements not belonging to the unit. So then once you have all of the total expenses and the total for the disbursements, so these three actually you add, and that would be your total disbursements. Again, your ending balance should be your balance as of July 1st, 2023, plus your income minus the total disbursements. But if you really look at it, your disbursements not belonging to the unit and receipts not belonging to the unit, if you add them together, they will come up to 0. So if you have 100 here and you have 100 here, they will just cancel each other out. But you still need to report them. Okay, question. Over here, please remember to actually report your non-cash donation because the Department of Justice, aka Charitable Trust of California, wants to know if you received non-cash donations and you report it here. I would just estimate how much you received, but it would be helpful as the treasurer or as the chairperson of each event, if you do receive non-cash items as donations, to record them right away so that then you're not scrambling at the end of the year trying to figure out how much you should report to the DOJ. if you have any questions, please reach out to your council treasurer or the 10th district treasurer, or reach out to your council, to anybody from your council. If you're not able to reach out to the treasurer, please, if you have any questions, reach out to us anytime, because we're really here to help you out and make sure that you're in compliance with whatever the California State PTA requires, whatever the IRS, the Franchise Tax Board, the charitable trust, whatever they require. And it's really important that your unit is in. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to Marie for helping translate, and thank you to Jackie for helping me with the webinar. And hopefully you'll get your AFR completed by August and have your tax reports completed by October. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Thank you.